Hello, everyone. It's us again. We're here on a Saturday this time instead of our usual slot because the football changed and it was my birthday. But I brought Fazz out late night. We're going to watch his mighty West Ham. How are you feeling, Big Fazz?
Yeah, good, my man. I'm good. I'm good. Happy birthday for yesterday, and
Cheers, my friend.
yeah, really looking forward to a good game. Hopefully, the Hammers win.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about it off camera. The ideal scenario for myself is 4-3. I need Son to get a hat trick, but I hope you win.
Yeah, look,
Come on, nice guy.
yeah, I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with that. 4-3 win, entertaining game. But my question to you is, so what did you do with your fantasy to get in that situation, Pommy?
Well, I
Hey,
mean, I've been rolling with Mason Mount for the last 2 weeks, and I've got a good Chelsea mate in the UK, Neil, who has been saying to me, "Oh, Tuchel worships him. He's back in the team." So I've been riding with him, and then last week I was like, "Right, that's it. I'm done. Mason Mount can piss off." Traded him out. Traded him out in a rage, and I got him. He got his hat trick this week. So there it is.
yeah, it's the killer move.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the fantasy, isn't it? That is the fantasy there and there. Anyone who plays fantasy in the audience and stuff, it is the stupidest game in the world. Don't waste your time doing it because every time I take a player out, he becomes a superstar.
Nah, it's always the way. As you said, you live and die by the sword. So hopefully you get a good result with Son tonight, but hopefully West Ham get the 3 points and everybody can go to bed happy.
Yeah, I brought him back. I might have to bring him back. I might have to bring him back. I might have to bring Mason Mount back now. Here's Harley. He's in a few of my fantasy leagues. Yeah, mate. I feel you. Like honestly, good news for Faz though is I took Antonio out of my team a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
so
well,
he'll
I don't
score
mind
a hat
that.
trick tonight.
I hopefully he's gone on a bit of a barren run for him, which is only a couple of games without scoring. He usually scores most weeks, so he's due, and he certainly loves Tottenham. He does score goals against Tottenham, so yeah, I'm feeling him tonight.
Mate, I love it. Let's hope he does score. We've got some people coming in. Hey there, Bella. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I'm good, Chris. How are you doing, Beachy? Beachy's a regular on this channel. Who've you got tonight, West Ham or Spurs? What's your prediction, Faz?
Oh, I've got to try and remove my head and my heart, like the situation. Look, I think West Ham. I don't know. I think we're in really good form at the moment. We're
I love it.
rock solid at the back. We're very hard to score against. So I'm thinking of West Ham 1 or 2-0. Having said that, probably Tottenham 3-1. So, yeah, no. I'll say West Ham 2-0. There we go.
2-0 West Ham. I
Yeah.
think this is 1-all. I've got a feeling it's a draw. I think the London derby is going to kill it. I know Saint's a big Sun fan. Good day to you, Saint A. Nick Webb, good friend of the channel, big Calton boy. Good day to you, mate. And Big Ash, Harley Ash, lock out before round one kills me in this format. Yeah, I think there should be a rolling lockout like there is in AFL on fantasy because it does me, it does me all the time. A tough one. I'm taking 1-0 Hammers.
Let's go.
Saints is going to block me. I said 1-all. I think it's just these London derbies.
Oh,
London derbies are always tough.
when
There's West
it's
Ham, no
it's two
mugs.
two um two top six clubs. Two top
Well, I
six
mean,
clubs going at it. So yeah.
it's a tough one to decide because,
Mm.
like, it's a tough because at the moment West Ham are playing above their station,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, Spurs are probably playing below their station at the moment. So it's kind of it's a real evenly matched game. I'm just not a big fan. Just still not a big fan of the coach at Spurs. I think he plays way too negative for their game style for their players on the 11.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. I think I mentioned it maybe last week. I still just can't get a read on Tottenham. I just don't know. I just don't know what. I mean, it's great that Harry Kane for them scored last week because he was on a bit of a barren run, and I just can't place them. That's yeah, they're a bit of an enigma for me. They're I think they're certainly a top six team for sure, but are they proving that? I'm not too sure about that.
They've got a really good squad. I mean, you look at Spurs, and I've said this for years about Spurs. Like they are a top four side. It's just they struggle. We talked about it off camera the other night. They struggle to keep players, though, don't they? They start to
Yeah,
build an 11 that you'd say, you know what, this will challenge for top four. This, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden they just get jettisoned, don't they? And it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Big clubs come knocking and players leave, but they just don't seem to be able to hold. Like you look at the players they've had,
yeah.
Modric, Bale, players like that. They've had a very good, tasty side, but they've kept Kane. They've kept. I mean, when you've got Kane and Son, though, you are always in with a chance, haven't you? Because
Yeah, yeah. Any team with them
brilliant
two,
footballers.
I mean, they could score four or five and assists between them. They're incredible footballers. I'll be honest, I was very surprised that they were able to keep Harry Kane. Very surprised. I thought that was all the way through the transfer window. I thought, hey, he'll go, he'll go. Look, despite my obvious um, biases towards Tottenham, I'm actually happy he stayed because I think it's important that clubs have their legends stay per se.
No, I agree with you. We've got Saint giving Denmark, big up Denmark. Tell you what, Denmark, I'm old enough to remember the Euros when they exploited the back pass rule and got that win. Big Schmeichel, the Laudrups. Tell you what a Danish side that was back
Yeah.
in the day. What a side. Spurs man Harley, I know he doesn't rate the manager. Um, Big Michael, hello to you, mate. You're talking about Frio, but they're always shit. I, I wouldn't say Spurs are the Frio of. It's a weird one about Tottenham though, because it's an attractive place to go. I think, like London. If I was a footballer and I was foreign, London's the place you want to be,
Of
and
course.
Tottenham's very central to London. It's a surprise. They don't seem to spend the money though, do they? They seem to be a very macro type team, don't they?
Yeah, well, they famously have their wage structure, so they don't blow their wage structure out. So they won't pay the big money for a big name player, so it doesn't blow their wage structure out, which is I think it's commendable, and I think more teams should operate that way. I really like the way they operate, but what happens when a Real Madrid comes and offers Son 400 grand a week? You know, what's he going to do? What are they going to do? That's the question there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it the other day. It's tough, isn't it? Because I think when you've got wage structures, it's commendable. In my opinion, it is very commendable. But it's a money talks league, isn't it? It's a money
Yep.
talks league. And the problem is, these big clubs do throw money at it. Like Real Madrid, like your example there, they will give 500,000 a
Yeah.
week to
Yeah.
acquire their players. Big Michael, I did see it. I am looking forward. Michael was educating me on the legends of football. Alan Simerson, Ballon d'Or winner in '77. I've added it to my watch list this weekend. Obviously, I've been a little bit alcohol related with my birthday. He partied for 3 days when Denmark won the Euros. I remember it well as well. I was 7, and it was probably the first major tournament that I ever watched from start to finish with my pop. So I watched bits of 90. I remember 90, Italia 90, enough. But 92, I remember watching every game of that and was in awe of Denmark. John Jensen, I remember him as well. Blast from the past, Arsenal legend there for anyone in there. Saint would have followed Australia, but they didn't have Ericsson. He's your son, Sam Walsh. He
Yeah.
is. Tell you what, Christian Eriksen, what's happening with him?
Yeah, it was such a scary, bizarre moment in the Euros, and kind of stopped. Haven't heard anything of him. last I heard, a while ago, he was all right and healthy, but yeah, you kind of just stop hearing about it.
Yeah, 'cause I was reading that in the Serie A, he can't, he won't be allowed to play there because they have that rule. They have that heart fibrillation rule that you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
play.
yeah. Mm.
So shame, because he was a great footballer. He was for Spurs,
Oh,
and
he's phenomenal, phenomenal.
that I've got to say though that just says what's beautiful about sport, though, doesn't it? Because that the two teams there worked
Yeah,
wonders, didn't they?
yeah, yeah. It was a sad moment, but also a good moment for humanity. So,
I've got to say as well, he's still recovering, says Michael. I've got to say, it did make you support Denmark a little bit, didn't it, as
yeah,
well? In there,
100%.
like when they came back on, I was really hoping they'd win, and I had a bit of a soft spot for them, as people know that I'm a Scotland boy nationally, so I was supporting them against England as well. But they are. It was a beautiful moment. It shows what's great about our game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's a question for you, Pommy. What do you think of the London Stadium? I always like to get people's opinions on it.
Well, I mean, I'm a traditionalist. Like I remember the old stadiums, Upton Parks, White Hart Lane, Highbury. Like they were proper historical stadiums. I know, obviously, now it's a modern day league, and you've got to go up with. I think all the London stadiums are really nice. I think West Ham have done a good job there, but it's no Upton Park, is it?
Look, you know, you're never going to replace Upton Park. I mean, what a beautiful stadium. I remember going there. I love it. Um, but it's a real 2021 stadium. The London Stadium is a real TV friendly stadium, a real color whiz bang European nights. It's it's a beautiful looking stadium with no soul, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's weird because like Nick Webb here just saying he loved Upton Park. It's weird because I've been to Upton Park a couple of times and I went to the old Highbury, and Highbury you could smell the 70s. I know that sounds weird, but you could almost have the aroma of the great days that had been seen before. Same with Upton Park; it had that kind of dirty feel to it,
Mm.
did it? That dirty
Yeah,
feel.
and
Yeah,
and
they
I
like
don't.
you knew someone had been stabbed in that ground.
Yeah, yeah. The blood was still drying from the week before. No, it's just yeah. You're also on top of the players and stuff as well. It's yeah. But the
Yeah, I
London
know.
Stadium's
I
a real
feel you.
modern stadium, real
I feel
modern.
you, but I suppose Spurs and West Ham have a chance to do it. Have a chance to
Mm.
do it. Yo, Palmer, do you have a great day yesterday? Did you pack anything good? Um, I did pack. For those who know me, I play a lot of FIFA. My work sent me a $250 PlayStation card, so I spunked it on FIFA coins because I was gangster, and now I'm the proud owner of Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's I didn't pack him, but I packed enough to pay for him. Michael, I've been at Highbury, and Gunners fans tell me they were Gunners would still play there. Yeah, you see, Emirates is a weird one, right? Because for an opposition fan, it's a brilliant ground because like they've got all the mod cons, the seats are comfy, it's clean, the toilet doesn't smell of 30-year-old piss and stuff like that. So it's a real nice, clean stadium. But I understand what the Gunners are saying. Like when you're at your home ground, you kind of like that. It's like going to Icon as a Carlton fan.
Yeah,
Like even
yeah,
when you go and see a practice game at Icon, there's that sense of occasion about the old ground. It's got brick, it's falling apart. There's something romantic about it, isn't it?
yeah. The seats are uncomfortable, but you love it.
Yeah,
I know
them
exactly what you're
benches,
talking
man. What
about.
are they about?
Uh,
It was built for the Olympics.
yeah.
Oh, thank you, Bella. You're too kind. I love you too. My son's still trying to bribe me into getting FIFA 22 is absolutely grouse. Everyone in the house plays it. I love challenging my eldest son, who's 6, to a game before bed, saying if he beats me, he can have a 2-hour bedtime. Letting him go 1-0 up till 20 minutes, and then just smashing the granny out of him and sending him to bed crying. Good life lesson for baby Pom, that.
Rate that.
He's got really into his tactics, my little boy. He watches YouTube videos and he's found a tactic where he can literally have one bet. So when he does go 1-0 up now, it's like a full part of the bus job. So it is actually getting a bit more challenging to score that last minute goal.
Well, you've got to learn. You've got to learn. Simple as that.
He did it to me the other day, and I was like, "Why is it so hard to score?" And he was like, "Oh, preset my tactics." I'm like, genius. Well, we're just about to start here at.
Yep.
I think they should call it the Olympic Stadium. Why don't they call it the Olympic Stadium?
I'm not too sure. I think they just call it the London Stadium. I think they're still waiting for a massive sponsor to come and give them millions of pounds to have naming rights for it, but I'm not too sure. I like the Olympic Stadium. I think that sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds posh, doesn't it? There's a few Olympic stadiums around the world. It just sounds really posh.
Yeah, you're right. And I guess maybe the London Stadium, they put London on the badge. Like they put London on the badge, so maybe they're just trying to have that, try and be the team in London. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
Michael, Hammers versus Arsenal used to be good, old-fashioned London games. Yeah, there's something about the aesthetic. It's like Ibrox because it's been there for like 400 years. There's like that sense of occasion about it. Like even, I hate to say it, Parkhead. It is like a really nice. Well, I'm not going to say really nice ground, but it's a real nice atmosphere. There's history when you walk through the door. You know that generation after generation of pleb has been in the ground.
Yes, yeah, not wrong. And I think that the history, it's just you can't fabricate history. You can't make it up. And I think when you build a new stadium, you've got to, it's going to be a generation before it starts feeling like home.
Oh, early cross. Tell you what, this is one thing about Spurs that I've noticed. They start so deep.
Yeah, even that, like Ben Rama turning the ball over there, getting the turnover. We look like West Ham look dangerous because they are so
really
deep.
Happy to sit back, aren't they? They're really happy to sit back and just let you come onto them, which I think's madness.
And West Ham have the last game against Everton, and then the Europa game against Genk being dynamite from set pieces. So you don't want to give West Ham too many corners because they're on form at the moment.
That's been a calamity of errors since that cross.
Yeah, there wasn't a good advertisement for the game just then.
Tell you what, though, who has impressed me, Bowen, who's on the ball now for Spurs. He has impressed. I mean, for West Ham, he has impressed me this year. He's a little lively.
Yeah, Jared Bowen, he's done the traditional apprenticeship coming from non-league at Hereford, I believe, and then to Hull, now to West Ham. And I tell you what, if he can get a finishing touch, as in score more goals, he's got a Liverpool or someone like that written all over him, I think.
He's a very talented youth. Very talented youth.
Yeah, and he's fit. He's one of the hardest running, fittest players we've got on the list. So
he's a little workhorse, a little gremlin.
Yeah, I love him. I really do.
Cheers, Harley. Enjoy, my friend. Do we think Hammers have lost some of their rich culture after the move? I don't think they've lost the culture. I think it's more the stadium. I just feel stadiums are occasional, aren't they? There's kind of something about it. Like the atmosphere still sounds great because West Ham are one of the more ferocious fan bases. I just think there's something about playing it up. If I was a footballer, I'd want to play you at Upton Park. Like that's how I see it.
It's an interesting question, that one. I find, oddly enough, I feel like West Ham being relatively successful the last 18 months is probably losing their culture because being successful isn't really the West Ham way. So that's an interesting way to put it in that regard. But yeah, I think it did take a while for the West Ham fans to make London Stadium their home, and I've always been the big belief that winning creates the culture. So West Ham winning was probably, the London Stadium will be buzzing. If West Ham get a goal here, the roof will be lifted off. So But yeah, I do think it's a new look West Ham. The last 18 months under Moyes, they're playing out of their skin, and that's different to the usual West Ham that everyone has been used to for the last 50 years.
Yeah, I always think as well, when you've got your culture, like at Upton Park, the names roll off the tongue, don't they? Do you know what I mean? You've
Mm.
got Bonds, you've got Moore, all these
Yeah,
players that have played on the same grass that you're playing on today. It kind of
yeah,
adds to that sense, doesn't it? That kind of you're following in some footsteps. I mean, obviously, though, like you say, the London Stadium, last 18 months, you've gone well, haven't you? So, really,
yeah,
chance to make a name for yourself.
yeah. And I think it just depends what you want. As a West Ham fan, the first time we've made Europe, playing in the Europa League. So would they have made Europa League back at Upton Park? I mean, you'll never know. But the reality is, big world class stadium, you attract bigger players. More, it's the move that I think the club had to make, unless they just were happy to just be that mid to lower table team for the rest of like their time. Um, so I think it's a move they had to make because Upton Park was at its capacity, it was at its limit. Um, where the London Stadium, they could get up to 60,000 there on a
Yeah, I
big game
mean,
like today.
that's the new thing, though, isn't it? I suppose like crowds are such a huge factor, aren't they?
Mm.
So you see more and more big clubs. Like there's talk already, which I can't believe could happen. Is St James's Park may
No,
not
no,
be the
no,
home of
no.
Newcastle, and they're looking at
Mm.
building a new stadium, which for me is mind-boggling.
That'd be another nail in the coffin of what I already think's happening, the death of football. Yeah, I was talking to one of my Newcastle friends at work. Yeah, she's a mad Newcastle fan, and I just said to her, like, to me, it's just it's another big old-fashioned, old-time club now. Just to me, non-existent anymore. If they just buy success and if they move their stadium and then all of a sudden it just becomes sterile and
Yeah, the new state. I mean, what's weird though is I know the planning permission in the UK around built-up areas is a nightmare, but I always think like St James's Park. You're telling me like it's an iconic ground, like the
oh
same as Upton Park. You tell
yeah.
me the councils can't make an exception. Like
Mm,
I know they've got their little notepad, but like Newcastle play at St James's Park. That is what you think of. Like for me,
yeah.
anyway. Like I think
It's
as
a
an
great
overlap
stadium,
here.
to go to as well.
It is good beer as well in Geordie Land. I tell you, good beer.
Yes,
Great little.
great fans too, great fans.
Tell you what, that overhead kick there.
Mm.
West Ham bringing out some South American flair early doors. G'day to you,
Yeah,
Adrian. How you doing, my friend? But yeah, there was a nice little. Tell you what, one thing I've noticed about West Ham in the last couple of like say a year is your ball movement and vision isn't West Ham like.
yeah, it's actually pleasing on the eye.
It reminds me. Like, can you imagine Payet in this team?
Oh,
Big
he
Dimmy,
was
he would have
he
loved it.
was world class in a team that couldn't move the ball at all. Imagine, yeah, he'd be Messi-esque, I reckon.
Mate, honestly, good to you. Breaking news: Rafa Benitez has left Everton. Is that legit, or is that a wind-up?
Ooh.
Because that means he's off to Newcastle,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah,
I mean, that's locked in if that's true. Michael, I should be watching Brentford versus Leicester. Ford Danes play. Tell you what, Brentford are one of my favourite teams to watch.
yeah,
They are my guilty pleasure at the moment. Brentford, a very
they're
guilty
great to
pleasure of
watch.
mine. He's destined for a good job, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, they're. I thought they came up. They deserved to come up the season before that playoff final that they were in. I think they were sitting on top of the league for a while there, and they just had a big form slump and actually fell into the playoffs, made the playoff final, and I remember watching it thinking, geez, they should win this and they'll go on, but they didn't. Um, So they've come up a year later than I thought they would, but they're very good to watch. Very good to watch. He reminds me very much of an Eddie Howe type manager. Just imagine what he could do with money. Um, I'm hoping it's not a bit of first season wonders like we're seeing with Leeds at the moment. That they seem to be struggling now. Their second season up. But no, they're brilliant to watch. The guilty pleasure. I agree. They're my go-to. Oh, okay. If that game's on, I'll generally check them out because just like I did with Leeds last year, they were great to watch last year. But Brentford's that team this year, I think.
I love what he does with that team as well. I love to see, like when I was a kid, the new promoted teams kind of, you could tell they were newly promoted. They
Yeah,
gave way too much respect to the older teams. I
yeah,
love Brentford that they've got a style of play. Michael sets them up to go out and play and basically doesn't
yeah,
care if he's playing Arsenal, United, Chelsea. He'll play the same way, and I love that.
yeah. Same. The
DQ, is that legit that Rafa's gone?
I looked it up. I couldn't. Nothing's come up. That's
Because
insane. They had a
I know
shocking
in
game
the
last
I know
night.
in the UK the Everton fans have snapped and he's got like they've been protesting saying Rafa out and calling him all sorts of names, and I'm
Mm.
like Jesus, he's only been there 2 weeks. Give him a chance.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, but geez, they looked horrible last night against Watford.
It was a weird move, wasn't it, for Rafa? But I could see him going back to Newcastle. I still think if I was a betting man, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I reckon Rafa would be high up on the list because the Newcastle fans love him. He loved them.
Mm.
Chris
Yeah,
Beach
and
says it's a piss take. Michael says
yeah,
nothing on BBC.
yeah.
Con DQ. Don't
Winding
break
us up
news.
there.
That's a myth.
Yeah, winding us up. I like it. But yeah. Well, obviously Steve Bruce going. Um, the poor bloke. He never stood a chance. Steve Bruce. As soon as they got taken over, that was always going to be the first change, unfortunately, for him.
To be fair though, like you see, I was talking to a couple of Newcastle boys, and like I'm not shocked that he got fired because you look at his win-loss record, like over the last 12 months, he was probably lucky to be in a job.
Yeah, and I think it's their transfer activity though. Like, it's no secret. Everyone knows that Ashley was a bit tight with his money. I mean, but the only player they signed this season was Willock, who was already there on loan last season anyway. So they actually didn't improve their squad at all. So what hope does a manager have?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they attract. And Michael saying Conte to Newcastle, that'd be the dream for Newcastle, wouldn't it, to go out and get a brand name? But there's talk that Conte has verbally told everyone that he's just waiting for United to sack Ollie.
Just waiting in the wings. Look, I've got to. I'm a bit different with this Newcastle thing. I don't think they're just. Everyone thinks that now they've got the money, big name players, big name managers are just going to go there like that. These blokes still want to play in Champions League. They still want to manage Champions League. They still want to, and Newcastle are in a relegation fight. There's a very real possibility they get relegated this season. A very real possibility. Big name players aren't going to go there in January to be in a relegation fight. So it's very similar to the Manchester City when they took it. They just didn't win the league the year after they got all the money. It takes a while to build it. They've got to build a squad first that gets them to Champions League or Europa or something, and then the big name players come. But they're not just going to come for next season. Like, it just doesn't happen.
I've got a sneaky feeling, that I could see Jose getting the job. I could really see
Could you imagine that?
Mourinho, because of the Sir Bobby connection, we know he
Yeah.
was very, very close with Sir Bobby, and he says Newcastle has a special place in his heart. I could see Mourinho looking, and I think he would be in it for the rebuild. He would be the type of guy that's like, I've done it everywhere. Let's do it here.
It would be brilliant. Again, I think that's probably the name is fantastic, but I think his style would be the last thing they would want. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mate, there's nothing better than 11 men behind the ball, I can tell you. I loved it at United.
yeah.
I actually miss it, to be honest, because at least
Well,
defensively we were structured. Ooh.
the way you're bleeding goals at the moment, yeah.
Jose back. Michael agrees with you, my friend. He says,
Yeah.
Imagine Newcastle in the Championship with freaking $100 billion.
Yeah, but who's going to go there to play in the Championship? You know,
Can you imagine though their transfer budget in the
yeah,
Championship?
yeah, it'd be insane. It'd almost be worth a Football Manager save on that. That'd be good
Oh,
fun.
mate, if they get relegated, I am doing Newcastle challenge.
Yeah,
Hey there, Kano, how you doing? Lost 6-1. You see, I think, and I agree with you, Michael. People hate me for saying this when he was at United, and I'm like, he hasn't done anything relevant. Like the Porto thing was amazing, right? And the Chelsea thing, I'll give him, but I could argue that there was a hell of a lot of money thrown at that problem. A hell of a lot of money thrown at the problem. But it didn't take people long to work out how to counter his game style. And you look at Jose today and Jose at Porto, it is the same Jose. Like
yeah, he hasn't developed.
I'll give Pep, you look at Barcelona to his Bayern, to his Man City, there's development. You can see little tweaks where he's adapted to the state of play and the league he's in. But I don't see it from Mourinho. I just think
Yeah,
Mourinho plays that same way.
yeah, and I think there's an argument as well. Then with the Chelsea titles, was the league in a stronger position as what it is now? And what I mean by that is whoever wins the league this season is going to be one of the best title wins, because as we sit here right now, nine games in, there's about 4 teams you could say could win the league. Like it's going to be an awesome effort to win the league this season, where in previous years, teams have just romped it.
Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear my spiel then, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was listening.
Oh, yeah. So I just think you could make that argument that that Chelsea double that he did from memory, they were the best team in the league. So it's not a brilliant win when you're the best team in the league, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a bit
No,
silly.
I agree with you. I agree. I think if you go back to even Fergie's days, I think there was a clear gap between the big 3, 4 to the others. Where now, I agree with you. Like a Brentford can roll a Man City on the day. We've seen Man City slip up this year a couple of times, to teams that are weaker than them. It is a competitive league. I always say, though, about Chelsea, and I know this is harsh about Jose, they threw money at that problem.
Yeah.
Like they were making 6, 7, 8 changes a window, where even Man City, at least they drip fed the changes.
Yeah.
But them first couple of windows under Jose, he was bringing in 20 players. Like he couldn't but win the league.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's why I mentioned before the good. Is
West
there a
Ham,
soccer game?
Kano. No, Kano's a big football. He went to Manchester United. Yes, we're watching. If you go on Optus, Kano, West Ham Spurs.
It's not. It's been a pretty open game at the moment too. It's been a really good watch. I'm assuming from the neutral. I'm a bit nervous, but it's good to watch.
It is. Man United, Liverpool predictions. I've got a feeling Liverpool were going to coast it 3-1. I can't see anything but it.
Yeah, they are. I think. Did you mention it in your predictions during the week? Or you said it. I thought Liverpool, for an odd reason, are flying under the radar at the moment, and they're playing the best football in the league, in my opinion. I mean, people might argue Chelsea's 7-0 last night, but Liverpool are just no one's talking about them. I'm like, they're the best team in the league at the moment, and they're just flying under the radar. I think they'll coast it. But having said that, a big rivalry like that, anything could happen. I could easily see a CR7 late winner easily, but on current form, has to be Liverpool. Has to be.
Oh, you'd say it has to be. Like I just can't. Like I don't understand how Liverpool are getting away with it as well, because everyone's gone on about Chelsea, like you say. City get the press all the time as well because of Pep, the Pep effect, I call it. As there's a break here, Antonio. Look
strong.
at his body work.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh.
He's
Tell you
a
what,
strong one.
Antonio is one of the. I think we're talking about underrated teams. I think Antonio doesn't get enough kudos for how good he is. Did Vardy score that goal, Michael? Because he's in my team. Or Tielemans. Another guy I was looking at. Screw you, Tielemans. I didn't want him in because he broke my heart last week.
Good player, very good player.
Bad haircut though. Bad
Yes.
lid. When will Ollie get sacked? Oh, I still can't believe he's there. And the worst thing is, I said it in my predictions: as Tottenham break, is Son.
Can't give Son that much time.
The last person Spurs wanted in front of goal there was Lucas. That guy,
Yeah.
as honestly, he's got the composure of Michael J. Fox making a hot cup of tea. I mean, like
If
it's all over the show.
was the thing, if that was Harry Kane there, that's 1-0. Simple as that. But look at Son, he's magic. Absolutely
He's so good, Son.
pantsing
So good.
Ogbonna and Cresswell. But if that had been Harry Kane instead of Moira there, it's 1-0. Like that was
That's
just
the thing about is Saint still in here? Because I know he's a huge Spurs fan, but why is Kane playing so deep? Like that's the new thing under the new coach. They play him like as almost as like a false nine.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd.
Like that's where you want Kane, isn't it? You want Kane, the fox in the box, just living in that 6-yard box, not moving.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from a Spurs fan what their thoughts are on that.
I want Tielemans at my Gunners. I agree. I think Tielemans one of them players that I've got a feeling he's going to be a bit like Kante. I reckon in a year or two he'll go to one of the big four clubs.
Yeah,
because he's so good. He ran United ragged.
Yeah, he's a very good player, and you're right. I think a little bit underrated, and then once he does make that move to the big club, you'll start seeing the best from him. Not that we don't see it yet, but you'll start hearing, I guess, more about the best from him.
Was that like having Michael Gibbons at 2019 at full? It was. Having Lucas Moura as your deepest man forward is like having Michael Gibbons as your full forward.
It's like playing Ed Kerno at full forward and Harry Mackay at the centre bounce. That's what they're doing with that's what they're doing with Harry Kane. Like that's.
It's a weird thing because look, like I always think, right, as a former striker myself, if I drop deep for the ball, it's because I don't trust what you're providing me. And I'm basically crying to you and saying, please, can you give me the ball? Because I'm getting bored now. The centre-back's talking about my wife. I'm a little bit precious. Give me the ball. Like, that says to me that he's searching for the ball, which then asks the question, why are they not providing it?
Yeah.
It's one of them things. I want a world-class centre midfielder at Leeds.
You've got one.
Yeah, you've got Big Phillips.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips. He's a wonderful player.
He's a very good player. He is the Yorkshire Pirlo for a reason. He just gives me a bit of Andre Pirlo vibes. I've got to say.
Yeah. The debate constantly between Leeds and West Ham fans of who's better, Declan Rice or Calvin Phillips. I don't get sucked into those debates. You see him for England. I love him. I think big Calvin Phillips. I love him, and I hope he stays at Leeds. Every chance he could leave, but I hope he stays.
I hope Phillips stays at Leeds, but if he wants to go to United, he's welcome.
Open the doors.
I'll let him. Kane has lost motivation. You see, Michael, I've got a few Arsenal mates, and I was saying, because I was a big fan of Ramsdale, and they finally signed him, and all my Arsenal mates were getting excited because I've been bigging Ramsdale up for ages. And I was saying Arsenal should have had a pop at Kane. I don't know why they didn't, because Man City were pissing about with all that. Money talks, and Kane, I agree with Michael here. I don't think Kane wants to be there. He's playing, to me, that he hates life. He does not want to be at Spurs. He's stuck there.
Yeah, you can see it. You can definitely see it. And like I said, I was shocked that he didn't go during this transfer window. He'll he might go next transfer window. And I tell you what, Son getting on the ball, man, it's giving me heart palpitations.
I'm glad it's giving you heart palpitations. It's actually making me excited.
Yeah, no, he's
He's in my
bloody good
team.
player.
Am I on the
He's
Blue? I am
destined.
on the Blue Abroad show tomorrow. If you want to check me out, I will be on. Question from Beachy. He's always got a good question.
Yep.
Back on Stadia Talk for a moment. What are your thoughts of Everton moving away from Good? You see, this is another thing. Goodison Park is Liverpool. It would be like Liverpool leaving Anfield to me.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of people just forget, because Everton aren't a top 6 club or whatever, but they're still, to me, one of the originals. You think back as a kid, when you think about Premier League, you think Everton, and Goodison Park, and just like I was when West Ham moved from Upton Park. I don't like it. It's I guess it's 2021 now. You've got to get with the times, but gee whiz, it's another nail in the coffin for football, and I hate it.
You see, yeah, I feel like I turn into my granddad all the time
Yeah,
I talk to people because I'm like,
yeah,
not in my day, not in my day,
yeah,
not in my day. Leeds have to learn to defend, and Mozzle's come back with the two light on Phillips. Just look out of form without him on the pitch.
yeah. I'll agree on that. A heavy reliance on him. They need to learn. I mentioned that a couple of times last season. I think Leeds have to find that defensive, a bit of a balance. They too many games with 4-3s and 4-2s and 3-2s. Like lots of scores, great to watch, but you can't survive in this league unless you can defend. Simple as that.
We see someone was asking me the other day because there's a thing in football called the second year blues. You see it with
Yeah,
teams promoted, and
100%.
and I think it works both ways, right? And I think why that happens, to explain it, is because people don't know how you play. So
Mm,
you've got that luxury, but also in counter, they don't know how to break you down. So I think how Leeds and Brentford are doing is brilliant. Just give it a go, attack them because they're not going to expect it. But I think the second year, you've got to really cement. You
yeah.
can't go level 10 all the time.
No, you got to develop.
And
And speaking to one of my mates who's a Norwich fan, they said they wish they could get to a stage of having second year blues, but they never seem to be able to, unfortunately.
it's a tough league. It's a tough league,
Oh
man.
yeah,
It's a tough
yeah.
league. But I love Leeds in the Premier League. Like that.
Mm.
That's
Oh,
where they
it's a
belong. It's where
must.
they
It's a
belong.
must.
And it's always a good game. Michael agrees with us that should stay at Goodison. Yeah, I don't understand it, and I think there will be a time that Liverpool will leave Liverpool. That Anfield will become. I can see it.
Mm. Sad.
I can see it. I can see it will be a time because people like our generation will die out. And speaking to younger, speaking to younger fans, I was speaking to, because I'm a big active person in the forums at Rangers, and a lot of the young Rangers kids like talk about bigger, better stadiums, and like
Mm,
the thought of leaving Ibrox blags my head. But I can
mm,
see it. Eventually, this generation that are coming through want newer things, bigger things, better things. That kind of, like my nana used to say about marriage, and when I used to say, "How have you married Grandad for 80 years?" It blags my head because he does my head in after 8 minutes. And she used to say to me, "In my day, son, when something was broken and it was worth keeping, you just had it repaired
mm.
and you kept using it.
Yeah,
You didn't
that's a
go out and
great
buy a
point.
new." And she used to say to me, "You, if something breaks, you go out and buy a new one."
Mm.
And that's the
That's
generation.
amazing. Yeah, and I think that's a great analogy because I was like speaking to my old man not too long about it, about Upton Park and that, and he said, well, eventually, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, everyone who's been to Upton Park will be dead, and then it won't matter
Yeah,
because the people who are going buying the season tickets will know nothing but the London Stadium, and yeah, I guess clubs have to move forward with the times, as sad as it is for us. But at the end of the day, it's the club that lives on, not the supporters. So, we can bitch and moan and talk about it now, but in 20 years, 30 years' time, or whatever, when my kids are up supporting West Ham, if they're successful because we've moved stadiums, then great, so be it. But I do love that analogy of that is modern generation, if something breaks, you just buy a new one. I'm not going to spend my time trying to fix it. I'm going to buy something new. So that's a great analogy.
It is. That pep talk my nana gave is probably why I've been married for 10 years, because it was a great pep talk. Honestly,
Yeah,
I use it a
definitely.
lot with my kids. Michael agrees with us. You see, I agree with this. This is a great comment, Michael. Football clubs should improve current stadia. I know in the UK it is so hard to get extensions and planning permits, and I know Highbury, they fought for hotels to be built on top of it. London government wouldn't do it, but I just think, to me, my little pea-sized brain says, why can't they just approve it? Because it is a football club that is bringing in millions in revenue to that area.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I think there's that. I know Upton Park's been ripped down. I think there's you know townhouses on there now or something.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
yeah, it's like as populations are getting bigger and bigger, you need to find space to put them somewhere, and yeah, the new stadiums, the old ones get ripped down. They don't even stay built so you can visit them. You just can drive past. Oh, see those townhouses over. That's where Upton Park used to be. like, you know,
It's crazy because like Highbury's like an old folks home now. It's like, one of them sheltered accommodation for old
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
Which, incidentally, if Tottenham, if Geelong ever sold their stadium,
Mm.
it would be very poignant to build an old folks home on GMHBA, because that's their list management.
It's already halfway there, isn't it?
Chris Scott could be the chief carer.
Shout out to all the Geelong supporters.
Shout out to any Geelong supporters in chat. The Cronkers talk about legacy fans and target. You see, I agree with this as well. I think a lot, I'm a big anti-American in football. Because the problem is with Americans, and this is a stereotype, so if there's any Americans in chat, I apologize, but Americans see everything as business. So you watch how they run their NFL clubs. Everything's fake history. It's like fabricated. It's like, for money, San Francisco can move to Miami. They don't really value legacy. They value the dollar. And that's what happens when they come to European areas. They don't quite understand that sport, to us Poms like Australians, this is our community you're talking about. Like, revenue's nothing. It means something. And that's my worry, because I think Stan Kroenke is doing a horrendous job at Arsenal.
Mm. Well, I think you just have to look at sheer dollars and cents. It's a club will make more money if they sell a shirt overseas than what they will if they sell a shirt locally. So naturally, by that logic, you want to get as many into overseas fans as you possibly could, because you'll make more money. And you're right, using the American model, they they sell the player rather than sell the club. There's no club loyalty or anything like that. It's you'll follow LeBron, or you'll follow. I've had mates who were Patriot fans their whole lives, and all of a sudden they go for Tampa Bay because of Tom Brady. You know, each to their own. That's fine. I'm the moron who's stuck going for the Panthers and the Hornets because I stick by the team and not follow players. But it's a different model, and it's a bizarre model. But when you're narrowing it down to sheer dollars and cents, it actually does make sense to target overseas supporters, because that's where the money will come from. They know the local fans are going to go regardless. They're going to be there regardless. They'll buy season tickets regardless. Where if you can tap into the overseas market, that's why for a little while there, a lot of clubs were trying to get hold of Asian-based players. You look it up, the amount of money Tottenham get for Son, like his shirts and all that from the Korean fans and stuff. It's insane. If there was a big name China player, he'd be worth signing just for the shirt sales alone. And
Oh, it's
yeah,
crazy. I mean, look at G Park's son.
yeah,
Players like
yeah,
that.
perfect
Massive
example.
following.
So thoughts on the
Massive following.
first half an hour?
Well, it's been one of them games. It's been a proper North London derby, but without the violence, I think. There's not been any late talent challenges, but it feels very nervy, doesn't it, for me watching this? It feels like it needs a goal. I think if a goal goes in, we're going to see an open play. But I mean, at the moment, both sides are just feeling each other out. West Ham are the better side, though. I think by a long way.
Yeah, both sides look scared to lose, which you do see that from time to time in derbies. As I think West Ham are getting closer, these crosses are causing Tottenham some trouble.
I'll tell you what. Every time the ball comes in, like Spurs look at sixes and sevens, to quote my granddad. They do look horrible,
I think Souček probably should have done better there, just quietly. He had
especially on Reguilón as well. I mean, because Reguilón,
yeah.
I think he's actually the son of a vampire because he's scared of crosses.
You're not wrong. And yeah, when you get up that high, and he hit it perfectly, you've got to at least hit the target. Keeper was grounded. Yeah, I think that probably won't go down as the best chance, but I think, in my opinion, that was the one that I'm disappointed didn't hit the back of the net. Yeah.
Oh, mate, you would have thought there as well, especially on the outnumber with Reguilón. You would have thought he scores.
Yeah, 100%.
You would have thought he'd scores. The main problem with Highbury, says Michael, was the narrow streets around the stadium. It was a weird place to walk up to. Do you know what I mean? Going back. I remember having beers at the Irish Tavern, which was just on that narrow road. The Woodbine, I think it was. God, I'm going way back. But definitely watered down their beer. I can say I wouldn't have said it in there because I would have been glassed. But that beer was watered down. I'm telling you. That new Japanese player has been great for the Arsenal. They are crazy.
They love it.
Like
they
the Asian
love
fans,
their football.
They are mental. Like Dong Jianzu, when he used to play for United. Like if you went to a Manchester game, like you'd see Dong Jianzu shirts, and the guy struggled to make the reserve team. Like they are mental for their players. It's great to see. It is great to see. They really get behind their players.
Who was the big centre back who used to play for Southampton? What was his name? Big Japanese bloke. I can't remember his name, but he was brilliant for them for the Southampton as far as shirt sales and all that. And
yes, it's crazy. They really do idolise their own, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. First yellow card. Don Bailey's gone down there like he has been shot.
Second yellow card. Souček got booked earlier, but yeah, that's
you've got to love a Bonga. He doesn't care, does he?
He's one of my all-time favourites. I love him.
He doesn't care. No nonsense centre back.
Nah, loves a goal too.
I love him. In January, I'd buy Jude Bellingham if we could afford it. I tell you what, imagine Jude Bellingham at Leeds.
He's good little player, Jude. Definitely coming into his own as well. I think ridiculous, endless potential. And I do feel a bit odd, having it kind of like the Sancho situation where you've got a young English talent playing in Germany. You got to bring him home. Someone's got to bring him home.
Well, he's a peculiar talent. I mean, I love Jude Bellingham. Like, I'll be surprised if Bellingham stays at Spurs. I mean, at Dortmund next year. I'll be very surprised if one of the Premier League clubs doesn't come in for him, especially with the visa restrictions in the UK. Now we're out of the EU. It makes logical sense. Yeah,
well, you can't put a price on the importance of having English players now, and I think you'll just see I mention it pretty much every show, the England tax. If they've got an English passport, then you can add an extra 10 million on top of the price tag, I think, because you just need them. You can't. Yeah, and I worry with someone, like Sancho. I worry with Jude Bellingham. Is it going to take a big six club to get him out of there? Dortmund.
You'd imagine so. I mean, you'd imagine. Yeah. I'd imagine that United would have a sniff, surely.
Where I'd love to see him players trade out of, like you said, a Leeds, a mid-table team, because you look at someone like what Conor Gallagher. I know not the similar situation, but you look what he's doing for Crystal Palace at the moment, rather than sitting on the bench for Chelsea. That get these younger blokes playing Premier League football week in, week out.
Get him to Spurs. Dean Rice and Bellingham.
Yeah, getting him getting them. It can only be better for the national team as well. So.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, imagine West Ham have a sniff. Rice and Bellingham, centre of the park.
Not sure we have the money, to be honest. But
Premier League title there.
It'd be great, that's for sure.
Great comment here by Chris in allusion to what you were talking about with the people won't know what Upton Park is, about suburban grounds. Spot on. Great save there by Fabianski.
Yeah, I think they should have done better there.
Heading in today's game, though, is non-existent.
Mate. Yeah.
Like, look at the power. I mean, and Don Belly, he's a big unit, isn't he? But, I mean, he's headed it there like a wet flannel.
You see them, and you even see from, like, centre-backs and corners, they kind of let the ball hit them. There's no neck power. They just kind of try and guide it into the net rather than absolutely bury it.
Yeah, mate, honestly, heading the ball is just a myth in today's game. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
And Antonio here, he does it all the time, Antonio. What I love about him is the ball's gone there and their centre-backs just stop playing, thinking it's just going to go out. But Antonio chases and chases.
Probably should have passed it.
What's Eric Dyer doing there?
Getting butchered. Probably should have passed it, and that's been a bit harsh. But he might have been able to pass that across the box, I think, for an easy tap in. But when you're in the moment, he's, number one striker at the club. You back him to take the shot too. Yeah,
you've got a Michael, Chris. I miss Prince's Park. The suburban grounds are too small. That's when you go to Icon Park, you can understand like hosting Richmond there would be lunacy, but I think there's an argument to be made now that they're improving it to host like a Gold Coast where you get 40,000 fans anyway.
Well, not even. I think with when you're playing Fremantle at Marvel Stadium and you get 27,000 or something like that, why not play that at Princes Park? Why not?
I'd love it.
Yeah, I would.
I've been saying they should have a heritage round.
Yes. Where you just play at the old grounds.
Yeah, everyone plays, Subiaco. Imagine dusting off Subiaco again. like Subiaco looks like anywhere that if you play in the Eastern Ranges League of cricket, you have to play there. Like, how is Subiaco a professional sports stadium? Mind-blowing.
Dear. But yeah, speaking of stadiums looking great, that the new Optus Stadium in Perth is insane. So
I haven't been, but it does look amazing.
Oh, schmick, mate. Ivan, I was gonna bring him up before. When we're talking about Brentford, he's got big name club written all over him. That bloke.
You know who Ivan Toney reminds me of, and this is lunacy, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'll say it. He reminds me a lot of a young Thierry Henry. The way he cuts in from the inside, runs in the blind side all the time at defenders. He should have more goals than he has now.
And he's big, powerful, and quick. And like I said, I think he's got big name club written all over him. And I'm unfortunately sorry to the Brentford fans, but this is the reality of the world we're in. Oh.
Deep cross and great save. Tell you what, Harry Kane didn't even bother. We're talking about heading then. That was, honestly, get me in as a heading coach for a Premier League team. Deep cross.
Well, I mean, he's on the left back, gets over. I mean, should be 1-0. Simple as that. Should be 1-0.
Good save, though. I mean, that's all you can ask, isn't it, your keeper?
Well, Fabianski has to have good games because you've got Areola sitting on the bench just waiting to take his spot. So it's a good save.
One of my big complaints about Fabianski is his hair. I'm not a big fan of goalkeepers with good hair.
The slicked back hair.
Uh,
Yeah,
just
the
do your
worst
job.
one.
Just keep the ball out of the goal, mate.
The worst one is Pickford's. Mate, that hair is that hair is pants.
Tell you what, when I watch Spurs, they really do set themselves up to be hit on the counter.
Mm,
Yeah, Tony
yeah.
would be grouse at Arsenal.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
be
I think he
grouse.
yeah, like I said, big club player written all over him, and we'll just see what happens in the near future. Manchester City would be perfect.
Yeah, Man City by everyone.
Yeah, generally when there's a good player, you know, thinking about transfers, you know, you don't go too far before you mention Man City. Yeah.
It's one of them weird things, isn't it? It's just one of them weird things that they have the money to just take the piss, don't they?
Or Newcastle now. They'll be linked to every single man and his dog when they're up for transfer.
Well, I mean, Tony, there's a good shout for Newcastle. Definitely need a bit of firepower when I watch Newcastle.
And they need a bit of a poster boy as well. I think that's important when you're trying to build a brand, and then the new owners will try and build that brand. You need a poster boy. I mean, who is Newcastle's poster boy at the moment? Shelby. I don't know.
Saint
Like,
Maxim.
yeah, same. Yeah, I love him. Callum Wilson. You know that, but you know, imagine bringing in Tony in like that. That would be. They need like a marquee signing, like a big. Here it is. This is our intent.
Here we've got Big Manny in chat, Big Collingwood boy, United boy as well.
Love that.
Well, yeah, well, for once we're supporting the same team. Big
Well,
Manny.
I like that. Look, I'm not going to lie. As a West Ham fan, halftime couldn't come quick enough because I feel like Tottenham have just tightened the screws a little bit in this last 5-10
Typical
minutes.
Tottenham as well, isn't it?
Mm,
5 minute
mm.
spurts.
Yeah, as
Well,
that
there
kick
is the
should be.
half
Yep,
time.
half time. Happy with that. 0-0. Yeah, you know,
Well, it's been one of them games, hasn't it? It's got a derby feel, like you say. You said it. I thought you nailed it earlier. It was a game that everyone was scared of losing.
yeah, yeah, and you can see that they're very tentative. You know, you don't want to be Tottenham losing to West Ham again. Every season they lose to West Ham. Can't do it again, but you also don't want to be West Ham and losing to Tottenham at home. You know, so you can see the players very tentative, very um, cautious with their play. I think you'll see around about the 60th, 65th minute. I think it'll open up, and it could be a very exciting,
It's
final
going to
quarter
be
of
it's
the
going to be an
game.
interesting one, isn't it? It's going to be an interesting second half. We've got a question here from the wonderful Michael. Question: is money ruining European football? Less teams can win FA. Europe being dominated by a few teams. I love this question. What are your thoughts, Faz?
I couldn't agree more. Yes, 100%. Yes, I think money is ruining European football, but also it's not as simple as to say that. I think because you need the money in the game for the game to grow to get bigger. But when you've got a handful of teams who can do what they can do, like City, um, Chelsea, and now obviously Newcastle, versus a Norwich who, I mean, we looked at it the other day. I think their record fee was less than what pretty much some of these players are getting paid a week. So um, I just think that there's the longer it goes on, the equitable gap is expanding, and teams just won't be able to survive. You simply won't survive. And I'll use West Ham as this example. In this example, even a team like West Ham, who are looking like a top six club, playing Europa League, sitting seventh and all that on the table, really good. Our transfer budget's still only about 30-40 million pound a season. So you've got to spend, you've got to sell to spend, and you just won't survive. West Ham should never, ever, ever be in a position to get relegated again, but they're never going to be in a position to win the league or anything like that. And I think the money is ruining the equitable chances of other clubs winning the league for sure.
Yeah, you see, I agree with you. I mean, like we all love Newcastle. I mean, I think let's not get this wrong. I think everyone would love a Newcastle owner at their club,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
like in my opinion, I look at the rules they've brought in, and like you look at Man City, and they signed that deal with Etihad, right? And as soon as they had that, you can't make 100 million loss. I said it when they made that rule. What's stopping these big sheiks creating a company saying, right, I'm going to sponsor Man City. How much have we spent? We spent 700 million. All right, we're going to buy the livery on the stadium for 10
Yeah.
years for 675 million. So we've now made 15 million loss. And Man City got away with it because Etihad enough with their financials are linked with their current owners, but there's enough decision makers that would say it's not. But how do you fix it? I would love to see a net spend instead of your sponsorship. I think you've got to have a net spend of players in, because I think what's killing the game, I don't think so much it's the money. I think it's the talent acquisition of these clubs. They're buying 20, 30 of the world's best youngsters. Gallagher's a great example. Not getting a game for Chelsea, tearing it up for not Norwich.
Crystal
Willock
Palace.
wasn't getting a game for
Yeah.
Arsenal. Brilliant at
Mhm.
Newcastle. I think there should be some legislation around. You can't just keep buying all the talent and having it hiding in your reserves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, and I think when this conversation comes up, the mention of salary caps is always gets brought up too. For me, I don't want it to be a salary cap league. I don't want the best leagues in the world shouldn't be salary capped leagues because, in my opinion, the English Premier League should have the best players in the world playing in that league. If you salary cap it, you're not going to get the best players to come. So it needs to be still open in that regard. Um, Personally, and I know this is it's not quite a salary cap. I'd like to see a limit on what you can pay a player, because the fact that there are players sitting on Manchester City's bench who are earning 300 grand a week, and you've got teams, and it's easy to go look down the bottom and see what they're getting paid down the bottom. But I'll use West Ham again, a top six team. Our highest paid player is like 150 grand a week, and apparently we're a top six team after last season, but you've got players on Man City's bench who are earning double that to sit on the bench. To me, that is where it gets a bit out of whack.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think Michael's right here. The Dortmund chairman, English money football is destroying other leagues. It is.
Mm.
But exactly as what Fazz has touched on, I think a salary cap would work, but you'd have to get all of Europe to do it.
Yeah,
Because
correct.
obviously, if the UK does it, suddenly their chances in Europe are depleted. But
Yeah.
I think there's a great argument for it. You look at Barcelona, $6 billion worth in debt. It's a great opportunity now for FIFA to bring something in, because that's an overspend. And
Yeah.
like I like the fact that Newcastle now can go out and spend 100 million on a player. I love that, because we're going to see a new team reach the heights. But
Mm.
there has to be a way. Like I'd like to see a 7 UK and Ireland rule in the Premier League. I'd like to see your match day squad has to have 7 and really start to limit the foreign imports. Spain has got a similar model with
Mm.
their young players. I'd like to really see the FIFA say, right, these leagues, 7 max, and really then you will see a more equal spread, because teams can't obviously go out and buy 15 foreigners.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. Like you said, I think you need to preface by saying if you're going to make a decision like that, then every league in Europe has to do the same thing. Because as soon as you make that decision, the Premier League will just drop in rankings or clubs' ability to win Champions Leagues and that. Um, Barcelona is a perfect example, like you said. It's at a tipping point now, and I think it's a great opportunity for FIFA to come out and say, okay, new rules. We're not going to change it overnight. You'll have 3 or 4 seasons to fix it, but really, like I said, my biggest the thing I look at the most is when you look at the bench. That's what I look at. Clubs with their bench. Man City. United, the big clubs, their benches are stacked. Where you go to the lower clubs and their benches are full of 16, 17-year-olds, because they have to fill a bench, especially when they increase the bench size to 9. That's just, you might have 3 blokes on your bench that you're going to make those 3 subs every single week, and the rest are full of under 23s, where the big clubs, they'll have 9 players that could walk into any other club in the league. And yeah, it's the money side of it is huge. The last thing we want to do as well is start getting into a stage of building super teams and stuff. The one thing I will say that I love about the Premier League, yes, it is the same teams winning it, but they're not winning it every year. So City had a great season, then Liverpool had a great season, then Liverpool dropped off. Now Liverpool are back. Could Chelsea win it this season? So it's still chopping and changing who's winning the league each season. But we don't want to get into a stage where it becomes like super teams and all that, where they literally win it every single season or whatever, which maybe it's heading down that path.
I think it's getting better. I think when I go back to like the late 90s, the top teams were the biggest spenders, and there was only 3 or 4 in the Premier League. I think now you're looking at there's 8, 9 teams in the Premier League that can pay big fees,
Yep.
which is good. I mean, this comment here from Michael, he brings up, I want to have a beer with Michael soon because I relate to what he's saying. 400k a week is perverse as 100 million for one player. We talked about this last week. I remember fees like, the Alan Shearer fee, 10 million, and being like, you don't pay a player that much. And I remember Chris Sutton going to Celtic for 5 million and people feeling physically sick. It's crazy to think in 15 years, 5 million, you'd be lucky to get the kid who brings out the ball for a corner for 5 million now.
And I think that's, there's little bits of hope, little gems that pop up. You think about Leicester signing Kante for under $1 million. Was it like 750k, right? So this every so often you get a little bit of a gem, a hope. But the reality is, you can't spend 30 million on 30 million is going to be a player that's going to be your depth player, not a superstar player. 30 million doesn't buy you a super player anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, like, some of the fees nowadays, like, it's obscene. It really is obscene. And it is around the Premier League because Morales plays for Rangers. Like, there was talk today about him leaving. And there's talk that a couple of championship clubs are sniffing around him, wanting to pay 15 million. Now, I see Morales play every week, and I can tell you now, he is a $30 million footballer, right? Yeah. Easy. But it also works on what league you're in, the price, the valuation, because Rangers have no negotiation because it's inevitable. Morales one day will be like, I want to play in Europe. And you'll be like, well, we are in Europe. And he's like, no, a proper European team. And you'll be like, see you, Morales. Thanks for coming. Yeah. But it's crazy to think that 15 million is getting effectively our best striker when average strikers are leaving Premier League clubs for double that fee.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just trying to think of some examples of more recent times. I think I was hoping maybe COVID, the situation would reduce it and bring it back to maybe some more reasonable price tags for players. But then you just look at Chelsea, 100 million on Lukaku, like bam, just it's crazy.
These fees are obscene, bro. Like, and I agree with Michael here. He's right. We need some regulations because I think the Super League is a warning, isn't it? It's a precursor for what will happen. Eventually, these teams are going to say, hang about, everyone wants to see us play. So screw West Ham. Let's go and start our own league because we want to play Real Madrid every weekend.
Yeah. It was a scary thought that time when they were talking about that. I don't know what I'd do with myself if that happened. It would just be, you just end up. You'd obviously still support your team, but to what end? What purpose?
I'd find it hard, and I said it at the time. Like I said, if Rangers had joined it, I reckon I might be done. I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do it. Like And it's weird because I've always been a fan of us joining the Premier League, and think logically that makes the best sense for us to join the
Yeah,
Premier League.
yeah. I've
And I
always
think
thought
it
that.
helps. And I think it helps Scotland out because we have the monopoly on the academies, but it also helps us out as well that we get to play higher level competition because our league isn't very popular. But
Yeah,
like it's funny because Mozzo here nails it. Having a limit in Scotland, we have this. You've got to have 5 under-23s in your match day squad, and it's helped our national team out massively, massively in the recent years. It's something I think we've got to start modelling in Europe though, and forcing it.
yeah. And I think you've got you've got to start making sure clubs are giving these players chances, consistent chances, rather than getting to the transfer and saying, "Oh, geez, we need to sign an attacking midfielder because we don't have one." But you've got a perfectly good one in your under 23s, but you're not giving him a chance. So, and you'll occasionally see it in your cup games and your European games and all that stuff when you're coasting through. But the reality is, mate, again, on Friday morning, um, West Ham sub a player I never even heard of. His name's Daniel Chesters. Never heard of him. Wouldn't he? Could walk through my door right now and be like, "What are you doing in my house?" Right? I got no idea who this kid is, and he comes on. Look, all right, never see him again. Like he's not on the bench tonight. He's not like, you know what I mean? Like, and he's an attacking midfielder. And it's like, well, in the off season, if we're going to try and sign an attacking midfielder for 30 million when you've got one in your under 23s who was good enough to come on in Europa League, what are you playing at? Like, why are you spending that money? So I agree. I think you need to give these kids the cycle that chews and spits out these young players is disgraceful in the Premier League. Disgraceful. How many players do you actually see come through academies now?
It's minuscule, and I've got a few friends who work in the scouting department and in the UK, and they do say like Chelsea's mantra is "what if." So they take the what if about it by buying 20 under
Mm,
18s and be like, we get them all. The families are happy because there's a chance to play for Chelsea. Logic says 1 in 100 will make the grade, but
yeah. Oh.
Chelsea are putting a blanket over the problem and saying one of these will be a golden goose.
Mm,
The rest will probably ruin their careers.
mm.
And
And
I always think if they stayed at Leighton Orient, would they have made the grade?
that's a great point. And I think because you see a lot of and Antonio and Bowen we mentioned before, they came from non-league and now they're playing Premier League. There's an opportunity to stay at a non-league club and build your way up that way. One of the boys out there for West Ham at the moment, Ben Johnson at right back. I mean, he's from our academy. Good young player. But you mentioned before the golden goose. Sometimes you don't need to find the next superstar. Sometimes you just need to find the next squad player or the next depth player or the bloke who's willing to do a job. I wouldn't say Ben Johnson is anywhere near a top right back in the league. But you know what? He comes in, he can do a job. He's 20 years old and he's doing a job against Tottenham. Like, so why would we go out and sign a right back during the summer? If you've got it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think what Mozzle's saying is nailed it. If there is a
Yeah.
rule where it's like, because I think as well, the rule that we've got in the Premier League where it's under 21 EU, under 23 EU, I don't like it because I think it should be homegrown. And I think there should be a stipulation academy grown because
Mm,
at the moment you're seeing teams manipulate that rule by going to Watford, signing a 19-year-old and saying, right, he's in our squad now. It
mm.
should be an impetus in your squad. And I'm passionate about it. I am really passionate about that. Michael says Rangers and Celtic would get destroyed in the Premier League. I don't think, you see, I don't think so, right? And I'll tell you for why. I might be blind, and you can tell me, Pom, you're blind. But I think if we got in the Premier League because of the money and the revenue, I think our club name, everyone would want to play for it. Everyone, because every player says Ibrox is the best ground they've been to. The fans are brilliant.
Yeah, I think if you just simply put Rangers or Celtic up against a Premier League team right now, then yeah, you're probably right. They would get beat. But having Premier League money, the TV rights and all that to be able to build a proper club, the name Celtic, the name Rangers, everyone knows them. In fact, there's probably more people in the world who know Celtic and Rangers than they would Norwich and Brentford, for example. So by pure name, yeah, it might struggle to start with straight away, but I think they'd be able to build something big.
You see, I'd
Sure.
start us in the Championship. I'd be happy to start
Yeah.
in the Championship.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'd love it.
I'm actually surprised the conversation doesn't come up more often. I mean, you see what they do with the Welsh teams. I mean, if it's good enough for Swansea, then it should be good enough for Celtic and Rangers.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I think the Championship would be where I'd start us. I want Gunners as well as Hammers, Leicester, Aston Villa to have a chance to win the league. In the current
Me too.
environment, only oil barons could do it. Yeah, I mean, you see, that's the problem, though. I agree, because the West Ham Academy, brilliant. The Arsenal Academy, historically brilliant. It needs to be focused on, I think.
Yeah, no, I would love the chance for West Ham to be. I mean, I was excited that we had a chance to play European football, but to be in a chance to win the league would be insane. I mean, Leicester, 2016 Leicester was just a story that you'll tell for the rest of your life. But will it ever happen again? Of course, it'll happen again. I mean, nothing's impossible, but it's not a consistent. It's not a consistent thing. Like, a lot has to go right for a team to do what Leicester did.
Yeah, you see, and I always say this, like when people say Leicester's an anomaly to the rule, right? And a lot of people who are pro like spending use it as a rule that there's not too much money in football. And it's not a one-sided thing. My counter to that is look at how much their stars sold within 2 years. And that is the problem with the Premier League. They got lucky with players like Danny Drinkwater, Riyad Mahrez, Kante, right? These players were budget players that were probably undervalued. But within a year, sold for millions.
And again, it comes down to the stage of why you're selling them. Do you know what I mean? Like, Leicester pretty much showed their hand. We win the league and we sell our players. Well, that's not how you stay up on top.
Well, I thought that was a confession they knew it was a look. And
Yeah.
you know what breaks my heart is when you hear that Mahrez, as soon as he heard Man City were chasing him, he was like, see ya.
Yeah. Yep.
And that says a lot about the player as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I always think if I was in his position and I was playing for a shit club and we won, I'd be like, I want to stay around here. Bring the glory days here.
It just goes to show that you could argue that culture's a myth, because they would have had an insanely good culture winning the league and blokes still wanted to leave. So, yeah. It's it's the age old argument when those clubs come knocking, what do you do? I mean,
it's sad. I mean, like Schmeichel, he stayed loyal. Yeah. Like that shows to me. It shows to me the level of what they're about. Like they've got some real good players. Rodgers as well, I think, is one of the most underrated managers in world football.
Yeah, I love him. Absolutely love him. But with Schmeichel, I mean, I'm glad I wasn't a gambler back then, but I would have put my house on him. Ended up at Manchester United. I would have, just because, like, but he didn't. He stayed loyal and good on him. And I really like him. He's one of a very underrated player, who doesn't get the plaudits he deserves. I really like him. And Brendan Rodgers, magic manager.
Him. Also, Jamie Vardy as well. Like, shout out to him as well. I mean,
well, again, another player come from non-league football, did it the hard way, and now he's a consistent goal scorer every season.
Mate, I mean, it's insane. I mean, that he's stayed that loyal, that loyal to such a poor club, really. Like, in the grand scheme of things, he could have gone to Arsenal when he did after winning the league. Everyone would have still worshipped him at Leicester. The story's still incredible. You wouldn't blame him. But there's the problem, isn't it? You wouldn't blame him. Like Michael says here, money sets the limits. You don't blame these players, though, do you?
Nah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's like age-old argument in all walks of life. Are you going to leave your job if you can do the same job and get double the money? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a teacher, for example, right? And if a school offered me double what I'm getting paid, as much as I love my school and the people I work with, see you later. Send me an email. I'll miss you, but I need double the money. So it is a job to these people, I guess. So
Mate, it's one of them things because I always look like it's the Rangers mentality as well because we're used to brewing a player, and you know the Premier League will knock on his door. Players I look like is like Brian Laudrup, who played for us. Michael will love this. Was loyal. He turned down big contracts. Turned down Fergie once. Stayed, and eventually it got too much, and he went to Chelsea after 4 years of great service. But you know, eventually, like Michael says, money sets the limits. Eventually, we're
and
gonna lose these players.
and I think as well that there's a certain level of you can stomach it if that player's given their all, um, and they've left just simply because they've maybe outgrown the club. So I'll use Declan Rice as an example. I'd have no qualms with Declan Rice if he left West Ham because he gives us all. He gives it his all every week, week in, week out, 110%, bleeds claret and blue, magic player. But at the end of the day, the career's only a certain amount of time. I wouldn't begrudge him if he left. I'd love him to stay and become a West Ham legend. But I mean, what do you do? When the big clubs come knocking, chance to lift trophies and play Champions League football and all that. But I do have an issue with players who haven't yet proven themselves at the level, haven't yet made the grade, and then demanding these big money moves. That's the one that I get annoyed at.
Oh no, I'm with you. I'm with you. This one's for you. I remember this young gentleman, Dylan Tombidus. Do you remember him, the
Yes,
Aussie?
yeah, young
Tragically, I
young
think
man.
it testicular cancer?
Yeah, very sad. Yeah,
But I
um,
mean, here's another one as well. Young player that come through as well. Like, do you know what I mean? He was touted for big things because did he play? I can't remember. Was it a League Cup? It was one of them, Carabao
yeah.
Cup,
He
whatever they
he
called it
came
then.
on and
Worthington.
he Australian. He would have been leading Australia's has been a striker of Australia at World Cups if he didn't tragically get that horrendous disease. He had all the talent in the world, and they've still got the Dylan Tombidis Foundation and stuff that the club still runs. So they've got a real strong Australian connection at West Ham. Um, and yeah, like beautifully talented player and puts a bit of a human side to it when you start talking about tragedies like that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it well, and I mean, I think West Ham did really well as well, but making that okay to talk about as well,
Yeah,
like did
yeah.
really well using their stature to get men talking about it because that was a tragedy. I mean, a young man, like
Oh, he was a
I
boy.
remember when it
Yeah.
happened. Like when was it? 2013, something
Oh,
like that.
it was a while ago now, but he was just a boy.
It,
I mean, he'd still be playing now if he didn't cop that disease. But yeah, he was. I still remember. In the back of my head, I get a bit emotional about it. I still remember the scenes where he came on. After chemo, he was bald and he got subbed on, and it was beautiful. And like I said, they've still got the foundation. I think it's called DT38, the foundation that they've got. Um, yeah, so that's a real good blast from the past.
well done, Chris.
Yeah,
Well done,
yeah.
Big Chi. As
Thank
always,
you.
Vardy is a champion. He is.
Oh, superstar.
You see, I agree with Mozzo here. The youth model at Chelsea,
Mm.
like, and like, I'm glad he's used Orient as an example because they leech a lot from the Orient academies and things like that. Like it does break my heart. Like when you see that they have got, like, you go and look at their outs at the moment on loan, they have
Yeah,
literally got an actual
pages,
squad out on loan.
and they get it wrong as well. They let Declan Rice go. I'll love that. They let him go on a
Well,
free as a 16-year-old. So
well, they've got Declan Rice go, KDB,
yep,
Salah.
yep,
But like I always think Salah, just think if they were hard and didn't sell him, we might never see Salah.
yeah, yep, yeah. You're right. So yeah, their loss. is obviously the world's gain because you get to see these players. But even I don't. Chelsea's transfer business just is bizarre. Sell Lukaku, then 4 years later buy him back for triple what you've sold him for. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I suppose Harley's got a point here. It's not the NBA. I suppose it's not the NBA like where players are leaving every 5 minutes. I mean, the players do seem to respect their contracts on the whole, don't they? Genuinely, as opposed to NBA players. But I mean, this leads us on to Michael's one. He'd love it if Rice stayed. As a United fan, I hope he doesn't. But it would be. I think there is something poetic about Deck staying.
Yeah, and I think it's easy for us to say because we're not in his position, but I think trophies and money, winning trophies and money at, say, Manchester City, fantastic, good on you. You'll have a great career. But there's something special about the way people still talk about Bobby Moore. For example, why couldn't Declan Rice be the next Bobby Moore and be at West Ham for his whole career? And he would go down as a West Ham legend. You'd still be talking about him in 50, 60 years' time because he's that good of a player. Or does he go to Chelsea, to Man City or whoever and win trophies? And it's a great point.
I hope he stays.
Yeah, same. A little bit of
handbags
handbags
here. Disgusting. Did he just spit at him?
I think so.
If he spat, instant red. Because honestly, spitting is Pom's auntie. Can't stand it.
Surely
I'll take anything you do to me as a centre back. Don't spit on me.
But not that. Yeah, surely not. I in this day and age, with COVID, surely he didn't spit on him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to see the replay. I'm sure VAR will look at it, but he's been given a yellow.
Look at Harry Kane. When you can just tell when Harry Kane's talking to the ref, he's boring the crap out of him.
Let's have a look. Geez, I don't know.
I think that is a spit.
Yeah. What's the point of having VAR if they're not going to look at that?
Classic Argentinian thing to do, though, without stereotyping. If there's someone who's going to spit in my face, it's definitely an Argentinian.
Yeah, not wrong. But that's not a great look, is it? And I guess the thing is, if he is found to have spat, then he'll obviously get the suspension incoming. But I'm amazed at VAR.
Then he'll do the typical new thing of going on Instagram and saying it's a cultural difference.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and yeah.
That's got to be a handball. That's a deliberate handball. Lucas there put his arm out. That's got to be an instant yellow. He deliberately did that. There was no need not to. What's this? No need to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about to kick off here. Tensions are high. Maybe the game, what it needed was the spit.
Maybe the spit.
Yeah.
American owners want to make Premier League and NBA. They definitely do, and I hope they don't. And he's right here. He's agreed with you. In the old days, legends stayed at the club for the majority of their career. I hope Declan stays. I really do. I don't think he will, but I hope he does.
I don't think he will, but I just look at it from a fan's perspective. And now Declan Rice has more talent in his little toe than what Mark Noble has in his whole body. But I will talk about Mark Noble to the day I die. I'll tell my grandkids, oh yeah, Mark Noble, just because he's a West Ham legend. And for nothing more than he stayed at the club in an era where players don't stay at clubs. So I think sometimes it's bigger. It's bigger than just winning trophies and money and that. I know that's why we play sport, but sometimes your legacy is what you make it. And
I couldn't agree with you more.
I hope he stays, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
It's a tough one, though, because, I mean, you see, my argument with staying is this. These players are on, what, 200, 100K a week? Mm. The difference between that after tax and another 100K on your salary ain't that much to these people. Like, I know it's easy to say that, but you're telling me, let's just say 200k a year. Let's say after tax, that's 100k, right?
Mm.
Say 200k after tax, that's 115k. Say it's a little bit more when I get paid the more, right? You're telling me that that's making a big difference weekly to my life.
Well, I guess instead of buying a peninsula, you'll only have to buy a small island. So, um, but no, I've always used that. I mean, whether you're on 150 grand a week or 400 grand a week, what can't you buy on 150 grand a week that you can on 400 grand a week? Do you know,
Yeah, because you
like,
see, people
yeah,
always use that argument, don't they? Oh, if you could do the same job and someone said they'd pay you double,
yeah, yeah,
right? And I always say this, yeah, but the difference is my job and my salary.
mm,
He didn't need to do that.
no,
But my job and my salary is just enough to get by, right?
yeah,
So if you doubled it, I'd be able to get by and a little bit. But you're talking life-changing sums of weekly money. So
mm,
my argument is this: if my boss said to me, "Right, Pom, I'm going to pay you 20 grand a week from now on," your life's made. All your bills are
yeah.
paid, mortgage is always covered, bills and stuff. If someone asked me to do the same job for double, but I was
Mm.
happy at work, I probably wouldn't leave.
It's a great point. It's a great point. I know I said that before about the teaching thing. That's because I'm not happy. No, but like it's a great point with what you're saying. If you like where you work, if you like your workplace, I mean, again, it's kind of like what I said with Declan Rice before. Sometimes it's more than just the money. Um, I'll use the example like I don't particularly want a pay rise at work, but what I want is I want more time. I want more. Kind of I don't want more money. I kind of want less work, if that makes sense. So, if you know, I think you'd use the analogy, the example perfect there. If you're happy where you are and you're getting what you deserve and enough to get by and enough to do, why would you be miserable in a miserable environment to get more money?
Oh,
That's the
look,
point.
mate, I couldn't agree more. Like, let's be honest. If I was Declan, honestly, quite honestly, I'd probably stay. If I was Declan, me
Well,
being
I think,
me,
yeah, I think he definitely showed his hand a little bit as well by, he had the opportunity to change his number. The club said, "You want to change your number? Go down to like you know, a lower number, like a proper, number 6 or something like that." He said, "No, my 41. That's his brand. That's what he says. Number 41 is my brand. No one else in the world wears a number 41." And I think that shows the type of person he is, and he cares about his brand. He cares about his legacy. The number 41. He could turn that into the 23. Everyone wants the number 23. Well, you know what? Maybe in 5 years' time, everyone wants to wear number 41. Who knows? So
mate,
yeah,
it's weird seeing squad numbers that high.
yeah, yeah. It
Times
is.
have changed since I was a kid. But no, I
So,
agree with you, and I think he's a great person. I mean, like if I always think if I was a player and I was playing, like
mm,
I'd want to play for Rangers at some point in time. Would be
of
my
course.
goal. But
Yeah.
like I reckon if I settled in, knowing me as a human being, if I was at West Ham and I was enjoying it, I'd probably stay. I'd probably stay unless you're talking the money was double, triple, quadruple.
Yeah.
I'd say if I was settled and we're talking maybe 20, 30k, 50k, I probably wouldn't change it.
Mm. Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's a great talking point, and yeah, I could talk about Declan Rice for days. Um, But I think this is starting to kick off a little bit. It's getting heated out there. I like
There's
it.
getting a bit of loose challenges, isn't there? There is some
Yeah.
loose challenges. Michael said it's a pissing contest. They all want to have the highest. You see, I think that is it as well. I think a lot of these players want to be the highest paid player in the world.
Look no further than Ben Simmons. I'm a massive NBA fan, and look no further what's going on with Ben Simmons over there. Jesus Christ.
I still can't believe he turned up to training in tracky bottoms and a phone. That's the ultimate piss
That's
take.
that's peak piss take.
I did have a giggle though when he did that. I was like,
Yeah.
"How can you hate him? That's
Yeah.
hilarious."
Yeah. It's peak piss take. But yeah, like uh, It's funny because I actually, with what was that, Michael, that said that? I actually
Yeah.
texted this to someone today about the Ben Simmons thing. It's saying you can't have it both ways, because you're saying a lot of the players want to be the big banana in their team, but they also want to be successful. Well, you can't have it both ways, because in order to be successful, you've got to have lots of good players, a good squad. But if you want to be the highest paid player, the number one, the big dog, well, you're not going to be successful. So yeah, it's an interesting balance there. Are they happy to just get their money and do all that and not win? I don't know. I guess each player
Mate,
is different.
no, mate. You see, like, I just, you see, with this big dog mentality, and that's what Simmons is going with, and there's a few football players who are exactly like that,
Oh,
want to be the main man. It reminds me of the England cricket team where they hated Kevin Peterson because he was arrogant and he had an ego and he thought he was better than everyone else. And I always think if I'm in a dressing room, in every dressing room when I've played sport, and even at work, I want the best people on my team because I like winning. But
mm,
there is people at work and who I've worked with in the past who I don't particularly like. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? I don't want to go out for a beer with them. I don't really want to spend any more time with them than my work allows.
mm.
But I'm comfortable with them at work because they bring me success. And I do
Yeah.
wonder what goes on in sportsmen where they suddenly start to lose that and be like, no, I want this player in my dressing room. I want to be the big dog in the dressing room. Because
Mm.
winning's all that counts, surely.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's just like I laugh when I hear people. This is why I talk about, culture can be a myth sometimes, because you hear the Richmond squad, they're all tight knit group. There's no way in hell that 44 young men are all best mates and all love each other and happy days and all that stuff. No way. Like, you can't love everyone. And I think that's the reality. There's some people who would rub people the wrong way, but I tell you, if you're doing your job, you know, doesn't
No,
bother
mate,
me.
I'm with you. And I wonder where this
Oh,
stems from, like this culture. Because back in my day, you didn't see players be dickheads as much as you see
no,
dickheads now.
yeah. Geez, that had potential to be quite. That had the potential to be very dangerous then.
And Antonio's just been clotheslined there
Mm.
for those watching at home by Lloris, which is what you'd expect from a Frenchman. A hidden elbow. I'd
Yeah,
expect
hidden
nothing
hour.
less.
Yeah.
The Denmark connection has scored from Brentford, reports Michael. Mozzle. See, I think the AFL NGA rule was stupid when clubs should own under 23 and academies against each other and use their homegrown talent and nationwide. Yeah, you see,
Mm.
we've talked about this a few times. I think the same with the Premier League starting to do it, show their reserve games more and more and more. I think the more you can give young players television time, it's quicker to get the fans around that sign because
Yeah.
taking Rangers as an example, they really heavily stream our under 23s and our under 19s teams, and you're starting to see fans go, "Why is he not playing in the first team?" I
Yeah.
remember Nathan Patterson, who's started to break into the team now, and he's playing really good football. Last year, everyone was like, "Why is he not in the team? Why is he not in the team? He's killing it for the reserves. Get him in."
W- You can follow their journey as well, and it kind of creates that fan ownership of, you know, I put my time and energy and my emotions into this player at a lower level, and then you can enjoy their success more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when you feel part, because we all love an underdog, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And I think there's something about it. As West Ham have got a chance, oh,
What happened there?
deflected over the bar.
Horrendous defending.
T-
Oh,
Tottenham are in a world of pain at the moment. They,
mm.
you
Phew.
see, I don't think Eric Dyer's a centre back.
No way, no way.
What's he doing there as well? What was that block?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think he's a footballer. Just quietly. Yeah. No,
Look at
he
this.
burst on the scene a few seasons ago, didn't he? And then just kind of, I don't know,
Yeah, as a
plateaued. And
Declan Rice player.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Look at this.
So another corner
Cresswell's
for
got a
West
good
Ham.
lid on him. Oh, there it is!
Yes, your man too.
And I called it because I got rid of him in my team, Antonio.
Oh man, so I'm very excited. Up and about, 1:30 in the morning. Couldn't be happier. He eats Tottenham Hotspur for breakfast, Mikel Antonio.
It
And
was
once
coming as
again,
well, wasn't it? Looking at set pieces, they
it
were
certainly
falling
was.
apart at set plays.
So, another assist to Aaron Cresswell from a set piece. It comes in and it just gets over everyone. And I think it just falls on Antonio's boot. I think.
Just interesting that Harry Kane was his matchup.
Harry Kane's marking Antonio.
Look, he's holding him.
Oh, that's a bizarre defensive routine from Tottenham. But I will say, so now for West Ham in their last 3 games, Everton, Genk, and now that's 4 set piece goals they've scored.
They look very vulnerable. And what I don't understand what Harry Kane was doing. He was holding him. He didn't even go up for that header.
Well, it's bizarre because Antonio is West Ham's biggest goal threat, yeah? So why do you have Harry Kane marking him?
Well, I mean, Mozzle's got the chant going. What do we think of Tottenham?
Shit.
What do we think of shit?
Tottenham, but I'll also reserve a little bit of. I'll keep it calm because there's still 15 odd minutes to go. And was that Team W there, mate? We're up, mate. We're up. Let's go. Wowza.
Timmy Wilkes, he's loving it. Set pieces are back.
Yep, they are.
Michael's
I love it.
loving it.
Yeah.
Chris is loving it. Harley,
Shout out.
Harley.
Yeah. I just don't know why he's on the most dangerous threat. I don't get it.
Can I just say, as a forward, right, I would be disgusted that Antonio at 5'4" had beaten me to a header. Like, he didn't even go up for that ball.
No, he like I said, that the ball cleared those men. It just fell on Antonio's boot. You know, I guess in Harry Kane's what little defense you can give him, perhaps he was expecting the ball to be headed clear. I don't know. He just
but it came to his man. Like, why was he still holding him? He was holding him as he was giving him a hug as Antonio's placed it in the back of the onion bag.
Yeah, it was a bizarre defensive routine from Tottenham.
Michael's been reading our chats. We were talking about this last night, weren't we?
Yeah.
Pochettino, what? Harley, you're a Spurs fan. Explain to me, what the fudgery-do did you think? Why did you do that?
Give me a good reason. Like, yeah.
Like, I thought it was a joke when they made the Champions League final. Like, I thought it was a wind-up.
So this goal, I mean, the game, Tottenham have to open it up now. It's going to be a very exciting 15 minutes, a very nerve-wracking 15 minutes for myself. I think the game certainly went the way of, it looked like West Ham were going to score. I think West Ham deserved a goal. But it'll be a big 15 minutes for Tottenham. Huge 15 minutes. So
it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see. But I mean, already you can see Tottenham haven't increased their pace on the ball.
No, and you can see West Ham have sat back a little bit more, which is just going to open Tottenham up for the counter. And I think West Ham are one of the more exciting teams on a counter with Antonio up front, obviously. There could definitely be more goals in this, that's for sure. Either way.
I mean, what's amazing though is if you watch the positioning of Son and Harry Kane, it's not conducive with a dynamic duo. Look, they're getting each other's way.
Yeah, I mean, was it last season where they started off like an absolute house on fire? The two of them, like every single goal was assist Kane scored Son or assist Son scored Kane. Even there was one of the games where they had 4 between them, and you just think just the best pairing in the world. But this season they seem to just be on top of each other.
It's a weird thing because you can see that, Like at the moment, Son's just dropped into the hole like he does.
Mm.
There's another goal in the Brentford game. Just popped up on my alerts. James Maddison, 2-1.
Good little player.
James
Good little player.
Maddison,
Yeah.
the Audi Mason Mount.
Yes. Yes. He's ex Norwich boy. Yeah, good little player.
Why is Harry Kane playing left wing?
Yeah. I don't know.
They literally look. Anyone who plays FIFA, West Ham have gone one depth, and Tottenham don't have a clue.
Yeah.
They can't work it out.
Well, I think he'd have to look to his bench to do something. I think.
Well, surely if you're Spurs now, you're just plonking Harry Kane as deep. Look, he's run to CDM now. Kane,
Yeah.
look.
It's fascinating. He should be standing on the last man. Like
He should be where Son is now,
yes, yep.
just living on the
And now,
shoulder.
so yeah. Well, he's getting in a better position now, but yeah, it's
Like
an
he just
interesting.
needs to be on the shoulder of Ogbonna.
Yep. Well, he'll beat Ogbonna for pace, so that's yeah.
But like this is it's so slow. This is the United thing that Tottenham are doing now. Too much passing around, play a bit of pace, pass and go. Control now is out the window. You need a goal.
Yeah, and they're getting nowhere. Like look at that position they're getting in. I mean, it's going to have to be a pin, an inch perfect cross for Harry Kane to beat Ogbonna and Zuma. So that's not your option really. You're gonna have to go straight, not wide. Oh,
That is not the. You don't thank for them, do you, as a centre back
no.
from your right back?
Yeah, yeah. Oh dear.
They're
But
just. It
Lanzi,
looks really devoid of ideas, though. I've got to say, just watching Spurs, they look devoid of ideas in the final third.
yeah. And basically what West Ham will do now in the last 10 minutes, they'll drop Souček back or Declan Rice back in play a bit deeper, and it's going to be very hard to break down. It's one of the things I've been impressed with West Ham this season is they're very difficult to break down when they get into this compact format. And Lanzini looks like he's coming on. I'm not too sure who that before. I'm guessing maybe Fornals or Ben Rama. Don't be surprised if Mark Noble finds his way on the pitch in the next 5 minutes as well.
Surely, if you're
Stays 1-0.
Spurs now, you're looking to bring in Dele Alli on for
What
Lucas Moura. Surely,
what an enigma Dele Alli is.
great
Seriously,
hair.
but burst onto the scene, looked $1 million, and then I just don't. He just fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to him.
It's a tough. MK Dons, he was brilliant, wasn't he? And had a good couple of years at Spurs. Kind of just gone downhill.
Yeah, he was in the England squad and everything, but yeah,
It's very one-dimensional from Tottenham though. At the moment, they've gone Sam Allardyce at the moment.
yeah. Well, West Ham are sitting deep, and I mean that's you don't want to sit too deep. But again, I mean Tottenham aren't creating anything dangerous at the moment, and Harry Kane getting the ball out there, that doesn't worry me at all. He can get it out there as much as he wants.
Look at him. Harry Kane is probably the widest player for Spurs at the moment.
Yeah, it is bizarre. It is just bizarre. But anyway, look.
See, you want Lucas Moura there on the width, bit of pace to trouble Cresswell a little bit.
Yeah, well, look, it's been all Tottenham for the last 5 minutes, so bit of squeaky bum time for West Ham. It'd be good to see them get their foot on the ball and just be able to pass it around a little bit. Yeah.
Harry Kane looks like he'd rather be bathing in rain and mud than play for Spurs. I think that is plainly obvious.
Yeah. Oh, Declan Rice.
He's just a genius, and he's danced Lucas Moura there.
Yeah.
Popular song at Arsenal. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go.
Love that.
No, 8 minutes to go. I would say,
Jeez.
based on the last 5, it would take a minor miracle for Tottenham.
Mm.
Oh,
I hope you're right.
well done, Bowen.
Mm. Benrahma just tries and
That-
does a little too much sometimes. Yeah, but that was an interesting passage of play. I thought like half the crowd or half the players thought it was out, and Antonio just kept going on with it. I liked that.
It says
So,
that always says to me a poor team who are waiting for the whistle.
yeah, and let's have a look.
They don't
Oh, it
want
was
it.
there. I think it was out just quietly,
Yeah, but
but
I
yeah,
just think Tottenham. That always says to me the team don't want it.
yeah.
If they're
No,
looking
you're
for
right.
the whistle, that they've had enough. They want a break.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Seems Moyes is doing a good job. Interesting how he failed at United. Funny this, because I have a strong opinion on Moyes. I think he should have been given more time, and I think you're right. It is a graveyard since Alex,
Mm.
and I think it's because it's such a tough job to replace someone who's been there forever. You need someone to have a bit of time to build it their way,
Poison
and I'm
chalice,
happy
it
for him.
was. Yeah, look, I think David Moyes is an interesting. It's an interesting story. You know, everyone knows what he did at Everton. Everyone knows he was handpicked by Fergie. Didn't work out for him, but after that, he just went from shit to shit. After that, you know, failed at Sunderland, failed at Rio Sociedad. It was a horrendous time for Moisey, and then gets thrown a lifeline by West Ham. And to his credit, he's got the team playing the best I've ever seen a West Ham team play, to be honest. And that's got to go down to the manager. So good on him. I think he's at his level. I think this is his level. The that mid to you know higher table club rather than a super powerhouse.
No, I agree with you, and I'm happy to see him do well at you. I am because I actually like Moyes. I was never really on the Moyes out train. Um, I always like to think I was a bit of a realist. I realised that squad was shit.
Yeah.
Fergie had turned that into a miracle squad, but it was older than time itself.
Yeah, and I
So
think that the other thing with Moisey is the managers he just the managers that came after him all got given longer
more time.
opportunities and did nothing better. Like, yeah, it's
It'd be
Louis Van
interesting.
Gaal.
I think when you sign him for 6 years, you've got to give him at least 2.
Yeah, not 2 months. How long?
Mental. I never liked it. I mean, back to this game though. Tottenham have made some weird substitutions there.
Mm,
You've got the legend that is Brian Gill and
mm.
Lo Celso, who I think is the worst player in the history of football.
Yeah, they're just an odd club. They're just an odd club.
You see, to me, if I was the coach, this game screams. I would have brought in Bergwijn and Deli Ali. I think it
Yeah,
screams them two.
someone to unlock the defense. But I mean, I just want to be careful what I say because there is 5 minutes to go. So, but I just think if Tottenham just stopped existing, would it make a difference to the world? They're just. I don't mean, but they're just like apologies to our Tottenham fans, but they're just a nothing club. Like they're not. They talk a big game like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing this and that. We're Champions League. But I don't know. They're just they're like a West Ham pretending to be, United. That's all.
I think the analogy was if they stopped existing, nah,
Yeah,
no one would care.
yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
anyone
Like
would care.
yeah,
It,
do their
it,
fans a favor.
it's weird because I always thought the Sanchez appointment was was a really weird appointment.
Mm.
Like, if you're a top 4 side, you're going after top 4 managers.
Yeah, and I think with him as well that he plays a certain style of football that they clearly don't have the players to play the way like the Wolves played under him. And and you're right. I think it there was no ambition in that appointment.
Well, I mean, especially when you hear that they had Fonseca guaranteed, they backed out of it. Gattuso was guaranteed. Then the fans had a bit of a cry, and they didn't get Gattuso.
Yeah,
It's
it
it's kind
was
of
an
like
appointment.
Sanchez just fell into the job.
Yeah, he Bradbury'd it. It was it was a bizarre decision that I didn't see coming at all. I just saw it announced one day. Not that I pay too much attention to what they do, but I just saw it announced one day and I was like, oh, okay, that's odd. Um, I don't blame him. I mean, it's a great step for him as a manager, a great opportunity. But gee whiz, he had something nice going on at Wolves. It's one of those ones we spoke about before. I probably would have stayed at the Wolves, kept building what he was doing.
I really
Yeah,
do
interesting.
respect Wolves.
Oh, I love the squad they put together. Maybe not having the season that they would like, but I just love their squad. They're exciting to watch. They got that flavour that I don't know. They're just
There is something about them, isn't there? That's nice to watch.
yeah.
Talking
Of
about nice
course.
to watch, lovely one-touch football by West Ham going down that right side.
Yeah, just settle down, know your lane. Remember, um, but yeah, squeaky bum time now.
I'm nice
Not
and
getting
relaxed, bro.
well. I'm not. But no, happy days so far. I'm not too sure how much injury time there should be. I don't think there's been too many stoppages. So
Well, there was the
um,
spit, wasn't there? So probably about a minute.
yeah, they'll find a way. There'll be like 3 or 4 minutes somehow.
Tim Wilkes wants Ben Rama off.
Yeah, yeah. So Lanzini came on for Ben Rama. So
No, I
that
think
was
that
that.
was in reference to him going off.
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, yeah,
Since we let Moyes go, Everton have been doing similar things to Carlton, which is sad. Weird. Everton I always thought Moyes had come back for some reason.
yeah. And I think they're another club who, I mean, in a lot of ways that they're bigger than a Tottenham, for example. Yes, success wise, recently probably not, but just the name Everton is you know they're a big club in that regard, and I feel like yeah, that's a great point. Ever since Moyes, they kind of lost their identity a little bit. You don't know whether they're coming or going, or they'll have a flash of brilliance where they rise a little bit and then fall back down. Yeah, they're an interesting club. Benitez, the signing of him was just completely out of the blue. Um,
It was a
I
shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure where to for Everton. They're kind of in no man's land, which again is another good Carlton comparison. They're kind of feeling that no man's land where it's kind of make or break for them. Like what's going to happen? They should be fighting for Europa League spots every season. They should be fighting. Maybe knocking door on Champions League. But yeah, they're an
Well,
interesting
and I
club.
agree with you. Bro, I
I
agree with
like
you.
them. I like them.
Well, we're going to see if I'd be a good football coach because they've made my change. They've made my change. Bergwijn's
Yeah,
come on for Lucas Moura, so we're going to see it. Mozzel says, I should do a FIFA United career mode. I'm actually going to do some FIFA content, so stick around for that. I'll be releasing some this week coming up. I've
very
just
good.
bought an Elgato to stream. That was one of my presents. Who would you appoint as the new Man United manager? I really want Eddie Howe,
Yes,
but that's for own personal reasons. If I can't have Howe, I'll take Conte.
we're massive Eddie Howe fans here.
Well, we love him, don't we? I think if I was the United chairman, I'd be looking at a coach to build a brand, which he does, but also build an actual freaking dynasty. And I think
Yeah,
Howe is a dynasty manager.
yeah. You don't want a quick fix manager to come in, come in, fix it, and then go. You want a manager who's going to be in there for 8 years, and really build something, something special. As I was going to mention before, but just gets a little bit harder for the Spurs with Craig Dawson coming on, So now Harry Kane's virtually got to compete with Ogbonna, Zuma, and Dawson. Like that's
I just can't believe I'm seeing Tottenham long ball it. Pom will be like Matt Goldbridge of United and Rangers. Pom will be better than Goldbridge, very kind. Not a fan of Goldbridge. I find Goldbridge amusing. Like he amuses me greatly because he's a 70-year-old man trapped in like a 30-year-old's body.
Yeah, he's a funny character. I don't have much time for him, but I do know a few people who go out of their way to watch him a lot. So
I find him truly bizarre. Like I
yeah,
thought he
yeah.
honestly, this is no joke, and I respect his content. It's not really for me though, but I do occasionally watch it for a bit of a giggle. But I actually thought he was a parody at first.
Yes, yes, yeah. You're right. That's a good
Like
it's
I
a
thought
great
it was a
comment.
piss take. It was only when I realized he was legit serious. I just thought it was, one of them like this is like a stereotypical fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Arsenal fan TV as well. They're more entertaining than the actual game itself sometimes.
I've got to say, I do enjoy watching Arsenal fan TV. Win, lose or draw, I enjoy hearing passionate fans. Well, Tottenham have absolutely balls that up. It's a bad day all round for Pom because Son basically just got points for being there.
And
But
I'm grinning
Fazz, you
like a
got the win.
Cheshire cat. Look, I mean, beating Tottenham is becoming a bit of a habit now for West Ham each season. That's not being disrespectful. It's one of those games we pencil in, and um, we just seem to step up for them. But I'm so happy, but not just with the game, just West Ham in general, the club. I won't go on a massive spiel about it, but the just the way we're playing, there's not a game that I go into thinking, oh geez, I'm a bit, we're gonna get battered here. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a real consistent effort, and it takes a very good team to beat us. A very good team.
Yeah,
Um,
tough to
and
break
that's all you
down.
ask. Yeah, that's all
Tough
you
to
ask
break
as a
down.
supporter. And we'll use the Carlton connection. This is all I want Carlton to be. Just be hard to beat. Because if you're hard to beat, you win more often than not. So no, I'm
Mate, I
very very
agree.
happy. I'm very happy.
One thing that impressed me about West Ham, especially towards the end of that game, is the ability to tempo control. I
Yep.
talk about this a lot with United games. You guys seem to know when to switch it on and go fast, but then mold into that go slow and kill the game off. Like Nuno was just tactically outclassed there.
Well, I think so. Antonio scored in about the 73rd minute, 77. There's about 18 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, and I don't think Tottenham made one clear cut chance in that time. And I think that's shows the evolution of West Ham to not give the opposition a chance to get back in the game, but also the ineptitude of Tottenham as well to not be able to create one single clear cut chance in that last 20 odd minutes. That's devastating for them as just look at the table, and West Ham are sitting fourth after 9 games.
Mate,
Happy days.
Champions League footy coming to London Stadium, brother.
Now 1 week at a time.
Well, I mean, final thoughts. How's it feel then to get 3 points?
Mate, it's what I could dream of, getting 3 points against Tottenham on a Sunday night. I've got to get up for work in about 4 hours. I don't care, mate. My adrenaline will be up and about. I'll roll into work like I'm on $1 million a year. Don't you worry about that.
Mate, I feel you. Well, I mean, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah,
We're going
pleasure.
to hit the hay because we both got work, but we'll see you next week. I believe next week it's Leicester Arsenal.
That'd be a good game. I'm very much looking forward to that. Yep, Leicester Arsenal, fantastic. That'd be
So
excellent.
check us out for that. I know Michael will check us out. He's a United,
Yeah.
he's an Arsenal fan, so we'll be cheering on Arsenal for him.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next
Pleasure
week.
as always.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah.